Sudan has been on the news a lot lately as people have been watching incredible images coming out of a genocide that is taking place there now. And so people are watching about what's happening in Al-Fashir and in Darfur and trying to wrap their minds around what is going on there. And at the same time, one of the difficulties has been that as an ummah, many of us just aren't really familiar with Sudan in the first place, not familiar with its people, not familiar with its history. And so today we wanted to bring a special guest to talk about the history of Islam in Sudan and to give us a little bit of a broader insight as to this country that is so strategically placed in the Muslim world and is so rich in its resources, both the material and the human. And so I'm very happy to have my beloved friend Omer Alghabshawi, who is an engineer by day and a avid historian of Sudan by night. And so every time I have a discussion with him, I'm always learning so much new about where I'm from. And so we're very happy to have you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As-Sayyid Umar.
Wa alaikum
Abu
assalam.
Muhammad.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having me today. I hope I can provide some good information, valuable information to the viewers, hopefully.
First of all, I'm upset that you didn't tell me that we are wearing jalabiyas and turbans today and markoobs. So you came and you're out Sudaniing me right now.
Yeah, I thought that would be the dress code, but to speak about Sudan, we have to be looking 100% Sudanese.
Sudanese?
So, yeah,
Alhamdulillah. I'm looking like a Sudani in the diaspora right now.
Yeah, we are all in the diaspora. Now we have like 30 million in the diaspora, so hopefully things will come and peace will eventually happen in Sudan.
So Sudan is 40 million people currently, like you mentioned, millions in the diaspora. And we want to just kind of get a sense of the population of Sudan and when Islam even entered into Sudan in the first place.
Yeah, the population in Sudan is, we have a rapid increase in the population. We are 48 million. Sudan, for example, like to give like a background for that, Sudan was 32 million. In 2011.
Yeah.
But then in around 15 years now, it's increased around 15 millions in the population. And this number is showing that the country is young, as the people are young.
Yep.
And the people are, Sudan is a very big country. I think it's the size of Texas. And it has rivers, it has land for agriculture, we have mining, we have also trade with 9 neighbors countries in the area, and also we have the Red Sea, which also most of the African goods are in the area, are going through Red Sea, either through Ethiopia or Somalia or Sudan.
So as far as resources go, if we're going to talk about resources, Sudan was the largest country in Africa up until 2011 when South Sudan split and became the newest country in the world. And so, like you mentioned, it's the size of Texas. And by the way, Texas is huge for people who aren't from the United States. I read that Darfur, which is just the largest state in Western Sudan, is the size of Spain. So just for scale here. Then as far as the actual material resources that Sudan has, it is incredibly rich in its agricultural land. I read that it has about the same amount of agricultural land or arable land, similar amount to the European Union. So that's just one country with that level. As far as livestock, we're very rich.
We have like 110 million.
110 million heads
cows,
of livestock. That's cows, that's camels, that's sheep.
And also in camels,
goats.
We have like 6 million.
6 million is like camels.
The second country, Somalia is the first, and then Sudan.
Then when it comes to gold, we're like the third or the sixth. I think it's the third largest exporter of gold in Africa.
World, yeah. And also we have rare minerals. We have lithium. We have in area of South Kordofan. Mm-hmm. We have cobalt. We have chrome in the area border with Ethiopia. So Sudan is rich even with untouched minerals, and that's much needed now in the world.
And in an area where water is, I mean, the entire world, water is your greatest resource. Yeah. And we have the White Nile and the Blue Nile and the Greater Nile.
Yes, so and we have rain also. And 200, I think, 200 billion cubic meter of rain yearly. So even without Nile, Sudanese people can live.
You know, SubhanAllah. We're getting off from, but I'm from a farmer's village in a Jazeera, which is a agricultural state. And since the war happened, our village and the entire region got raided by the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, and everything was looted. All of the tractors, all of the infrastructure. The Al Jazeera scheme, which is Mashru' Al Jazeera, is the largest agricultural project in the world that's under one administration. It's a huge project. And we have these irrigation canals outside of my village. We call them a tur'a. And these irrigation canals have been full my entire life. I've never seen them empty. These irrigation canals that water the entire, project. And so this past year, I'm seeing photos of these canals empty because the Rapid Support Forces came and they looted everything, and they left the entire center of the project basically non-functioning.
Yeah.
And so I was asking my uncle just a couple of days ago, I was asking him, what are you guys growing? Because I keep hearing they're saying we're growing and we're farming. I was like, you don't have any tractors, you don't have anything. And he said, the rain.
Yeah.
He said the rain now, yeah. And I said, Allahu Akbar. Like, it's just a land that just has incredible resources from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
SubhanAllah. And also we have the area of Gaddarif state, which is the entire state, and also the eastern part of Sudan till Kassala. They are just using rain.
Yeah.
They are not.
They don't have any irrigation projects or anything like that.
They don't have.
And they're very agricultural, very successful.
And also, like they are like they have several crops, and even in Ethiopia, by the way, they have also the rainwater. They are using it a lot in their farming. Sudan is rich with resources, and that's a blessing thing. But it's also it will bring like envy or bring like issues with other surrounding countries.
Of course.
And
people have an eye on your resources. Of course.
Yeah. Especially when you are not using it efficiently, and when you are not protecting it from others' interests. So that's an issue for Sudanese for sure.
So let's just go back before we delve into, and I don't know if we're going to have the time to delve into the details of the political situation in Sudan, but let's just give people an overview of Sudan itself in the Muslim world.
Yeah. Sudan is not a new country. It's one of the oldest countries in the world. It was part of the Egyptian civilization, and also we share with them several beliefs and several histories. And Sudan had several civilizations since. We can go back to 5,000 years. Since that, Sudan was people were in Sudan were having countries, were having stocks, were having farming, and they were doing all of that. And Sudan is in an area which is an active area. Sudan is like just cross the sea from Saudi Arabia, and it's south of Egypt, connecting West Africa and the sub-Saharan countries to the world, to the Europe, and also if you want to go from if you want to buy from Africa, it will go through the Red Sea. At that time, before when it was Prophet Muhammad, it was Mina of Adulis.
So there was a port in Sudan during the time of Rasulullah.
It's now in Eritrea. In Eritrea, but the goods are coming through Sudan toward the African from the African countries to the Arabian countries, and from the Arabian countries goes to Central Asia, to China. So in Sudan, even in the Museum of Sudan, you will find Museum of Khartoum. You will find like some cups from China, dated like 2,000 years ago.
I see.
You will find like pieces from Europe, which are dated like maybe 2,000 years ago. So you will have like this shows the power of the market of Sudan, that the Sudanese people at that time, they were
it was a trade route. It was a trade crossroads
for all of the world. And it's in that ancient world, Sudan and Egypt were like the center for that world. And especially for when you have like at that time they use like rish na'am, which is they were
feathers?
using it for the leathers, the rish na'am, the ivory was very important.
So you're talking about ostrich feathers?
Yes, the ostrich, and also
what are they using ostrich
ivory
feathers for?
I think they were using it for decoration and also for like.
Are they big ostrich feathers? They're huge, right?
Yeah, they are huge.
Is that what they used to fan people?
Yes,
with?
At that time they were using it, and also the minerals, because Egypt and Sudan, they were source of minerals.
So you said that Sudan was part of Egyptian civilization, and you just upset every Sudani that I know, because we're always hearing Masr Sudan dawla wahda, Egypt and Sudan is one country. They used to be.
Yeah.
Has that always been the case, that Masr and Egypt and Sudan are basically a confederacy that are together?
Actually, it's you will find two families from the 30 families of pharaohs. They are from Sudan, originally from Sudan, and they ruled from Sudan. Not especially the 25th family, King Bahanki. He ruled till the area of he reached his force reached like Gaza border at that time. Okay. And he had a big war with Iraq at that time, and also with Persia at that time. So and you will find them not only controlling this area, they were expanding till Somalia area, because غير عيد أنا شوية حصل لي distraction.
We're just talking about Egypt and Sudan, and when are they going to? Were they always together?
Yeah, Egypt and Sudan at that time, they were one country for a long time. Yeah. And Egypt and Sudan were ruled by its very big size to rule all of this area with one army. From time to time, they had an army which is or a family, a pharaoh family, which is ruling all of Sudan and Egypt. And they had two families from Sudan. They ruled Egypt, and also we have the border of Sudan and Egypt is not like the line now we have between Sudan and Egypt. Egypt was having an area inside Sudan, reaching till the area of Korgos, which is like in Rubatab, Abu Hamad area. And this was it was like a checkpoint or like custom point for.
This is when? What time period are we talking about?
This is till Masr Sufla, they call it. This is till the pharaohs.
Lower Egypt. Okay.
Lower Egypt, yeah. And this is till we can say till like 2,000 years ago. So part of that country at that time for Egypt was inside Sudan, reaching till Korgos to control the miners at that area. And you find it in even the letters of the Egyptians, that they have the Prince of Korgos send these goods, the Prince of, and they call it Wawat province, okay, which is had the famous logo of a wolf at that time. So this is now inside Sudan, and this is why you have in the pre-Islamic era we have like 3 countries in Sudan. There were 3 kingdoms. One of these kingdoms is Al-Abwab kingdom, which is a part of was influenced by the Egyptian. It's in the middle between Al-Maqarra and Alawa.
So these are the 3 kingdoms. When does Islam, if we fast forward a little bit, when does Islam come to Sudan?
Actually, before that, we will find it very strange that Sudanese people had people who were Christian even at the start of Christianity in the world.
Okay, so Christianity came to Sudan first.
And because as we mentioned,
are these the Coptic Egyptians?
No, they were only Sudanese at that time.
Okay.
And they are, I think, in the Bible you will find that the Minister of Finance of Sudan one of the I think he met Phillips, and they had a discussion about that about Jesus, and they were mentioning, he was mentioning things to him, and he had a visit to Jerusalem at that time, and this
to
is
Jerusalem.
To Jerusalem. You will find it in this like maybe 100 years after the birth of Jesus.
Okay.
So at that time, the minister of and the name of Sudan is that time is we have an issue that the name of Sudan is not representing the history, because at that time the name of Sudan was Ethiopia at that time, which is the people of the black skin as per the people of Greece. But then after that, you will find that Sudanese people were not naming themselves as Ethiopia.
So hold on. So you have the Sudanese are being called Habash, or what are they called? They're just literally that phrase, Ethiopians.
Yes, yeah. Ethiopian. So the word Ethiopian is firstly was mentioned for Sudanese people.
Okay.
Not for the people of Ethiopia now.
I mean, what if the Ethiopians say, no, that's not true, it's talking about us?
Yeah, because the word Ethiopia was used for Ethiopia by the Portuguese in 1540,
okay,
and then by the British in the 1760s.
So you're saying before that they were not being called Ethiopians?
Yeah.
They were being called Ethiopians only by the Greeks, and they were being...
No, the Sudanese were called Ethiopians by the Greeks.
By the Greeks.
And you will find, as I mentioned to you, that the minister who visited Jerusalem, they in the Bible they are mentioning that an Ethiopian minister.
But how do you know he's not Ethiopian? Maybe he was Ethiopian.
Yeah, because Christianity started in Ethiopia in the 450, 200 years before the birth of Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
Izana was.
I guess the way that I would know that for sure is if I was able to prove that the Greeks had a different name for the modern day Ethiopians. Yeah.
At that time, they had a name for the people who are living in
modern day Ethiopia, Abyssinians, or what did they call them?
They were calling the Eritreans. The Eritreans are the people who are living in the Red Sea area, in the islands of the Red Sea, and they conquered it. The Greeks. They came and they conquered it, and the name Adulis is coming from Greek, because it's the name of it is Adul. Even in Arabian Taraf ibn al-Abd is saying.
What is Adulis? What is that?
Adulis is a port of Eritrea at that time. But the word S, the letter S at the end of it, is showing that it's
Greek.
It's a Greek source of it. So and that's also at that time they call this area they call Eritrea, and part of Eritrea they are calling it Bigos, which is the bigger people. So they added the S to classify this area or to identify this area. So this is one of the influence of the people from Greek. Yeah.
So Christianity comes to Sudan pretty early.
Yes, yeah.
And then Islam.
And then the Sudanese people, they had churches.
They had a church.
They had several churches in Sudan.
Okay.
And the kingdom of Sudan was not turning to Islam till 550. The first
after the Hijrah.
No, before Hijrah.
Well, the 550 is even before the Bi'tha. The Prophet was sent.
Before.
He was born in 570.
Yes, yeah. This is before.
So you're saying they didn't turn to Christianity until
the kings of Sudan. They turned to Christianity in 550.
Okay.
But the people at that time, they had churches, and they were actively discussing and having some scholars and some priests who are from that area. Were Sudanese at that time. And even you will find Sudan and Ethiopia were united in 350 and by King Izana, who named himself like King of Kings, which is in that language Nigasi Nigus. So this is the word he used for himself, that he's the Nigasi Nigus of all of this area. and they had fights, several fights.
The Najashi of Najashis, basically.
The Najashi of Najashis. The one Najashi is a small king, but the Nagasi Negus is the one who's ruling all of the area. And he turned to Christianity in I think in 350. This is the first king at that area turned to Christianity. He's saying that this is what they have in their they have a book called Kubra Nigist, which is writing all of the stories of these kings. And
what language is the book in?
It's in Gazi language, but it's translated, and it has some modifications. Historians have some issues about the credibility of it, because when people translate and when people add some
of course, yeah,
and they are influenced with other religions and with other people from other areas, so they had some influence. But the Ethiopian, they were the first, the current Ethiopian. Actually, they were the Tigrinya people who became first Christian kings, and the Sudanese, they became Christian in, as I mentioned, in 550, 100 years before the Bi'sa of Prophet Muhammad.
Any idea what the churches were like as far as the divinity of Jesus? Did the Sudanese community believe in him being divine, or?
They were part of all of this area are part of the church of Alexandria, all of this area.
I see.
And the name of the church in Ethiopia till today, the name of the church in Ethiopia is Tawheed Church.
Tawheed Church.
Yeah, till today. Tawheed Church. This is in Jaz.
Ajib, okay.
Yeah, and you will find that even in Ethiopia, they did not have the word like the word Haile Selassie. They are having it recently.
What is that?
Haile Selassie is Haile Selassie.
The Trinity.
The Trinity. So before that, you will not find that they have high influence on, or like they are mentioning the Trinity a lot in their books, and they have different history, and they have like even for the dates, the Christmas is like
in summer.
It's January 7th. The Christmas, so they have.
It's like the Russian.
The Russian, yeah. The Russian church and the Ethiopian church are they have several similarities, and it's all because of the church of Alexandria. But the Trinity and this stuff, I think, it's appeared like 500 years ago, when they have, because as you are aware, Ethiopia is like confined area. It's surrounded by Somalia, Darfur, and also surrounded by the Bija from the north, and they are in a confined area. The kingdoms of the Christian kingdoms are in confined area. They did not have action with Europeans till, I think, the Portuguese came from the area of Tanzania, Zanzibar, in the 1500. Yeah, this is the first time. So they have several interaction with them, and I think.
So then, when does
Islam,
the Muslims, show up?
The Muslims show up in the first. I think the first one we can, and we have to be proud of him in Sudan. Is Abdul Rauf al-Bijawi. Abdul Rauf al-Bijawi, he's in the time of Prophet Muhammad during his life. Abdul Rauf al-Bijawi crossed the sea, and he went to Prophet Muhammad, and he announced he became a Muslim.
Okay.
At
you mean
time,
he came from Sudan?
From Sudan, yeah. And he named him Abdul Rauf al-Bijawi. He changed his name.
Hold on one second here. You're telling me there's a Sudanese Sahabi?
Yes, yeah.
I've never heard of this before in my life.
Yeah, but because why you did not hear of him? I will come to you. You know Bukhari, right? You can remember some hadith from Bukhari.
That you mean Muhammad Ismail al-Bukhari?
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me he's Sudanese.
No, he's not Sudanese. Yeah, but he crossed near Sudan. Yeah, we are proud of that.
I thought you were gonna. I thought this podcast was going to go in a different direction. Okay.
No. Yeah. Abdul Rauf al-Bigawi, he crossed the sea, and he became a Muslim.
Okay.
At that time, Prophet Muhammad was sending back the people to their tribes.
Yes.
Like Abu Zar al-Ghufari and this. So he sent this Abdul Rauf al-Bigawi back to his people. And he said to him, go back to your people.
You know what the Sudanese are going to ask? They're going to say, which Qabila is he from?
As Prophet Muhammad, he's Abdul Rauf al-Bigawi.
Okay.
And this is also one of the things that are like making confusion for the Arabs. The Arabs are referring to Sudan in different names. You will find even when the before Am al-Fil, you will find in Ibn Hisham, you will find that the Muslims are speaking, the Arabs were speaking about their prediction of what's coming from the Horn of Africa. They were saying something is coming from Al-Habasha. But some of them, they are saying something is coming from Sudan. Hamhamatun wa dukhan min Sudan. You will find it in Ibn Hisham that the word Sudan was mentioned at that time, that
smoke was going to come from Sudan?
Is coming from Sudan. And this is for Abraha when he came.
These are predictions about Abraha's arrival.
Yeah, so that's showing you that the people at that time, they were not differentiating between where is Sudan, where is Habasha, and also as we mentioned that all of this area were one kingdom, 350, and this kingdom was ruled by one king, Izana the first, in 350, but he couldn't manage to rule all of the area. But in the mind of the Arabs in the Arabian area, they are all of these people, they are naming them as Habash.
Okay.
And some people are naming them as Sudanese.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will find this mixture. And even you will find some of them are saying like Fidda Nubia, Sahabiya, Fidda Nubia.
Nubian silver.
So the Fidda Nubia is like one of the Sahabiya in the house of Prophet Muhammad. You will find some of them, they are saying Bilal al-Habashi.
Yeah.
And you will find that Prophet Muhammad is saying Muhajja, Sayyid al-Sudan. So you will find the three words, Nubi, Habashi, and Sudan, at the same time for mentioned these three words.
So you're saying that they would just make these attributions to that region without necessarily clear distinction between these different types of places.
It's not clear. And also one of the words also you will find it about Sudan is Murisi. You will find like this plan is Murisi. Murisi is like from the south. This is in the Nubian words. Even in Sudan, we are having like the word. It was a kingdom in I think in the area of north of Dongola. One of the kingdoms at that time, a small kingdom called Maris at that time. And Maris means a person from the south. It's like also we have in Sudan, we have Kuku. Kuku is a person from the nearest west. So we have this
the person from the nearest west.
The nearest west, yeah, Kuku.
Okay.
So you will have in Sudan.
These are Nubian words.
These are Nubian words. So you will have for this area at that time. It was mess for the Arab. They were not differentiating with who's from where. For all of them, they are all Ahbash. For some of them, they are all Nubian. Sudanese. For some of them, these are Nubian. Some of them were saying Bigawi, referring to the tribes, and also I think in you will find in Al-Bukhari, you will find a strange phrase, which is Jama'atun min Ahl al-Maghrib. Okay. People from
the land of the West.
Land of the West.
Which now we would assume is the west of Africa.
It was the west. Now we are assuming it's the west of Africa, and some are assuming it's the west of, which is like Morocco and this time. But that was not the phrase which was used for. Definitely, it was not used for the people of
during
Morocco
that time, of course.
During that time, so especially for Sayyidina Jabir ibn Abdullah, he would never say Jama'at min Ahl
I mean,
al-Maghrib.
they hadn't even gone that far yet.
Yeah, so Jama'at min Ahl al-Maghrib are the people from the nearest west. The nearest west is Sudan and Ethiopia and Eritrea.
Couldn't it have been Egypt? Because Egypt would have been Misr. Egypt was
it was
defined
clear
already.
for them. It was clear for them from Egypt, and also the population in the western area toward Mecca, the area of Egypt, which is our Mina Badi and this area, it's not having lots of people. It's like
I
Halayb
also
and
feel like
Shalatin.
Jama'at min Ahl al-Maghrib, like if the same argument that could have been made for Egypt, which is that Misr is already something that's known, Al-Habasha and Sudan and all these places are known. So
It wasn't clear. It's not clear. I'm not saying that they are from Sudan, but I'm saying to you that they have this word in Sahih al-Bukhari. It's saying that some people from
the West.
Okay. So people from the West
is?
for Mecca at that time or for Medina, the West is the area of Sudan and Ethiopia and Eritrea.
I see.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So we have Abdul Rauf who came.
Yes, we have Abdul Rauf who came, and we have also in Sudan we have the first kingdom, which was an African kingdom.
Okay.
Which became Muslim. The king became Muslim by himself. And you will find that in Ibn Battuta's trips, that there was a king in Sudan called Abdul Aziz Ibn Kanun. So,
for those of you who don't know, Ibn Battuta is a legendary traveler in the Arab world, and so he had gone, I don't know, like how many different regions and countries.
Yeah,
but
all of I think, all of that
the known world at that time.
Yeah.
So if a person travels a lot until today, they call him Ibn Battuta.
Yeah.
And so he had documented his travels, and that's why it became so valuable.
Yeah, and also when he documented his travels in Sudan, he was mentioning that when I cross the area and I would find a mosque and I would find a place to pray, people to pray with me, and he was describing it like they were having Muslims and non-Muslims living together in the same area. But Islam entered Sudan the first when the first interaction between the Sudan as a country and the Muslims was after Amr ibn al-As visited or after he ruled Egypt.
So very early.
Very early, yeah. So what happened at that time is that the Sudanese people, the Nagla, the Dungula kingdom, Al-Maqarra, by the way, is an Arabic word, means the red sand. So we are not sure that they were using this word for themselves. They were not naming themselves as Al-Maqarra for sure. They have several names they were using for the area, but Al-Maqarra is a known name for that period. But the king of Maqarra at that time, he refused that the Muslims are ruling Egypt, because he had a doubt that this will affect the Christians in Egypt. So he named himself the defender of or the fighter for the Alexandria Church, and they started to attack the Muslim troops in the southern Egypt, and that's why Sayyidina Amr ibn al-As, he sent his troops to Sudan. بقيادة were led by Sayyidina Uqba ibn Nafi' at that time. They had several wars till that started in the era of Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Umar ibn al-Khattab.
Uqba ibn Nafi' would end up crossing all of Africa.
He is the one who changed the history for Africa too.
He is a legendary figure that I wish that we would spend time. We're always talking about how we're an ummah that has incredible heroes, but we don't have enough storytellers. Uqba ibn Nafi' has one of my favorite quotes. When he crossed over Africa to Morocco and got to the Atlantic, he said, "Oh Allah, if I knew that there was a land behind this ocean, I would traverse it. I would traverse it to call people to the worship of Allah."
Yeah, and he changed the history for for the whole area, for all of these countries,
All of
even
North
Mauritania, even Mali, and these countries.
Mhm.
All of the history is written by after his arrival to the area. And when he came to Sudan in the year 30 Hijri, they had several fights with the Sudanese people, and they reached Dongola, the capital at that time, the capital of the Northern Kingdom. And they had a very tough fight with them, and they called the Sudanese at that time Rumat al-Hadaq, which means for today the specialist snipers, because they were like
Specialist snipers
at that time. Yeah. So the Sudanese were known for their abilities to fight, and their that being very strong army, and they stopped the movement of Sayyidina Uqba to the area. And also Sayyidina Uqba at that time was not trying to to conquer Sudan, or he had no issue with the Sudanese people, because with the people of Dongola at that time, because they are a Christian kingdom, they don't have any issue with them. But the issue was because they were attacking the southern borders of Egypt, assuming that the Church of Alexandria will have an impact from the rule of Muslims. But they had an agreement between Sayyidina Abu Nafi' and the king of Dongola at that time, and it's called the Baqta Treaty, which means the relationship and the trade between both of them. And it's clearly mentioned in the treaty that the Muslims in Egypt will protect the Christian church. And
in Sudan,
the Christian church in
Alexandria.
Egypt, in Alexandria. So this was one of the conditions of the treaty. If the Alexandria church is affected, the Sudanese will fight at that time. And also, it has a very strange condition, which is we as Sudanese we have to be proud of. They are saying that the Muslims were writing that, they wrote it in the treaty, the king of Dongola will protect the mosque established in Dongola. So from this narrative, you will find that they had a mosque at Dongola at that time. And this mosque, it's expected from the people who came for trade, or people who reach Dongola as for other relationship with Dongola, and that mosque is called Abdullah ibn Abi Sarh Mosque, and it's in Sudan. I think I have a picture for it.
Until today, it's standing.
Yeah. This is a mosque. It's not in a good condition now, but this is how it looks like from
30 after Hijrah.
Yes, yeah. So during the Egyptians, they have to be proud with that they are proud that they are having a mosque, the first mosque in Africa.
Yeah.
Which was built by Sayyidina Amr ibn al-As.
Yeah.
But in Sudan, when the army, the Muslim army, arrived to Dongola, they found a mosque in the area. So the Sudanese people were already, some of them, or some people who were living in Sudan at that time, were praying in this mosque.
This is incredible. Are these real photos, or is this AI or what?
No, this is real photos. This photo is from Hashim Karuri, and this photo from inside.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. So, and there is also very, very important part that this treaty continued for more than 600 years. Between Muslims and the Christian government of Dongola. It continued till the Dongolan kingdom fall apart.
So for 600 years, you still have a large Christian percentage in northern Sudan.
Yes, yeah.
Because we fast forward to basically our time, and northern Sudan was almost completely primarily Muslim.
Yeah.
And Christianity exists in the south of Sudan. You know, I give you an example right now.
Mm-hmm.
SubhanAllah, some people, when everything happened in Darfur, in Al-Fashir, the genocide in Al-Fashir, some people who were trying to take advantage of the situation politically here in the United States, they started tweeting out saying that these are Christians that are being killed in Al-Fashir. And there's no percentage of in Western Sudan of Christians.
In Darfur, for sure, yeah.
Darfur is like a dominantly, if not completely, Muslim region.
Yeah.
And so,
but it's ethnic cleansing. It's the issue. It's like tribes toward the crimes are toward the black people,
but they're all Muslim.
Yeah, they're all Muslims. Yeah.
So I guess my question becomes: when does Islam become like the dominant religion of Sudan?
Of Sudan. Actually, this is even in the late history. Like you will the fall of Dongola. Dongola, they had the first king they had who was Muslim is King Abdullah Barashambu. This is the first king of Dongola who became Muslim, and they because they had lots of Muslims at the area, and also they were doing trade, and they were also married to several royal families. So the Muslim community started to grow, and they became a figure in the community at that time. So they needed to balance the country. So they assigned this king. In Sudan, as you know, the king is not the son of the previous king. They choose from his nephews, one of them. So they choose the one who's Muslim, Abdullah Barashambu, to become the first king. And Abdullah Barashambu became the first king in 1350, around 1350, but he was killed later by one of his cousins, King Kenz ad-Dawla, who wanted to rule because he said, I'm related to Arab more than him.
I'm related to who?
To Arabs more than him, because his Kunuz are more Arab than Abdullah Barashambu, who was a local from a local family at that time.
I actually didn't know that they would choose from the nephews. Was that also what they would do in Egypt as well?
No. Only in Sudan, they were choosing from the nephews. It's an African. The heritage is the king is chosen from the nephews because you are a king by blood to your mother, not to your father. Not to your father. So they even by the way in not only in Dongola, in most of, and that was the way, one of the things that supported the Arabs to become, their sons became kings at that time and leaders of tribes, because they just marry from the king's sister, and then one of their sons will become the nephew, the nephew of the king. And also we have in Sudan, we have the uncle of the king is like one of the most important.
His mother's brother, the Khal.
Yeah, the Khal, yeah. He's like one of the most important figure in the kingdom, because he's also the brother of, and also because he's also having this plot.
I'm gonna go tell my sister's sons that they gotta respect me a little bit more.
Yeah. And also, by the way, in the Funch family, the Funch family, they had one of the.
Who are the Funch, first of all, for everybody listening?
The Funch family are like the family who ruled Sudan in the 1504.
Okay.
Yeah. So this family. They were ruling Sudan. They were Muslim family from the royal family of Soba, and they managed to rule all of Sudan at that time. And they are Muslims from Bani Umayyah. This is their story. They are Muslim.
Their claim.
They claim that they are from Bani Umayyah, but their mother is from the royal family of Soba, which is Khartoum now.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had this. So they became. We had Bani Umayyah people who became royals in Sudan. And by the way, was their first.
So basically, them being from Banu Umayyah would not be enough to make them royalty in Sudan. It would have to be their mother's lineage.
The intermarriages, the intermarriages. And also, they are, their first king name is not the first king, the first leader of them, before they become a king. The first leader, his name is Onsa. Onsa is like the nephew, because O is like the, and Nessi is like the nephew. So he is the nephew. We don't know his actual name now, but this is
one of the interesting things about Sudan that makes it quite uniquely situated, both in the Arab world and in the African world, is that these are people who are dark-skinned, who speak Arabic.
Yeah.
And so the question that I have is, when did the Arabic language actually enter into Sudan? Islam enters, that's one thing. And Islam entered throughout, all of North Africa, everywhere. But the Arabic language didn't necessarily enter into all of these African countries.
Yeah.
And so what caused for the Arabic language to enter into Sudan?
Yeah. What caused that? I think one of the things is that the Sudanese people were speaking several languages at that time.
Okay.
So even like the example now of South Sudan. South Sudan, they have several tribes. They have I think 100 tribes. And these tribes, if they want together to speak a language, they have to speak Arabic.
In a universal language?
So this is a universal language they have.
It's not English that they speak?
The people in the streets, they are speaking Arabic of Juba. So in Sudan, we have also, I think we have the same, that people were from different tribes, different
Lingua
areas.
franca, they call it.
So when they gather, they speak the language they learn from their sheikhs. Because when in Sudan, the people at that time started to join khalwas, and in khalwas they have to study Quran, and then after the person studies Quran, he will study fiqh.
So khalwa is the religious institutions that existed. It's like what they call madrasas in other places. In Egypt, they call it kutab. But whatever it is that it's how you learn literacy. You usually start learning literacy through the Quran, memorizing the Quran, and then you'd go into some form of religious studies.
Yeah. So after studying Quran, the people will study fiqh. To study fiqh, you need to study Arabic, nahu, i'rab, and this stuff. And by the way, we have one of the sheikhs. He arrived in the border of Sudan with Ethiopia, and his name is Al-Ansari. He claimed he's a grandson, one of the grandsons of Sayyidina Jabir, and he came from Egypt. He arrived in Sudan even prior to the Fonj family to just teach Arabic. He was only teaching Arabic. I think this is in the 1350s. So we have some schools in Sudan were not teaching Quran, because lots of people are teaching, providing that. They were teaching Arabic language at that time. And not only that, we have Shaykh al-Bandari in Khartoum, which is in Haj Yusuf now. Al-Bandari means the guy who sell gold, or who buy gold from the artisanal miners, and he just refine it and then he sell it again to the designers. So this Al-Bandari, he had his school. This is even prior to the Fonj family, and this is 950 Hijri. He was and it seems like he came from Andalusia at that time.
Okay, came from Andalusia.
Yes, yeah. It seems that. For me, I think it's very strange that the conflict is in Andalusia, the conflicts in Mamluk Egypt, the conflicts even in Saudi Arabia now, in the Arabian area countries at that time, led to several scholars leaving or fleeing these countries to reach Sudan, because it was
what are some of those? So, for example, famously, Al-Qurtubi left Qurtuba. He left Andalusia, and he came to Egypt, and he settled in Egypt, where he.
Al-Marisi also. Okay. Al-Mursi. Al-Mursi, Abbas al-Mursi also, he left Andalusia to came to Egypt. You have several names. You will find them fleeing from Morocco at that time. They fled because Morocco also they had several wars at that time, and this wars contributed to several scholars coming to arrive to Sudan. For example, one of the sheikhs in Sudan, the famous scholars at that time, his name is Ghulamullah ibn Aid. In Sudan we say Aid, but the actual pronunciation is Aiz.
Oh, Aiz.
Aiz. Aiz means this is like not his father name. This is like an adjective for his father. That his father fled the country because he is Aid. He's a refugee.
Okay.
So he was in I think in the area of near Jeddah, and he.
Aid is basically, it's like isti'ada a'udhu. Seeking refuge.
Seeking refuge.
Billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So this man is Aid. He was someone who was seeking refuge.
He was seeking refuge first to Yemen, and then he traveled to Sudan. This is Aiz, where he reached Sawakin area.
Sawakin is an old port city.
Old port city in the east of Sudan. It's known also for. Some people are saying that this is the area where Sayyidina
Musa al-Khidr.
No, not Musa al-Khidr. Sayyidina Sulaiman, King Solomon.
Okay.
King Solomon kept his jinns in that area.
His jinn in Sawakin.
In Sawakin, this is one of the.
Why would anybody want to claim that?
What to do? Yeah, but it's an area which is
kept his
empty.
Jinn in my city. Aywa.
Yeah, so Aid came to north of Sudan, came to Sawakin, and his son Ghulamullah, he came to Sudan. His son, it's allegedly that they burned him with fire. Someone came searching for his father, and he couldn't find his father, so he burned the tent, and they came and they found him alive inside the tent. So they named him Ghulamullah because it's like a kind of miracle that he survived this fire. Okay. So this son, he came to Sudan, and when he arrived at that time, he was Shafi'i, and Sudanese people were having Maliki fiqh. So he was not able to teach them fiqh at that time. So he decided to only teach Quran for people. And he had the first school in Sudan to teach Quran. This is even prior to the fall of Dongola. Because he was like one of, at the time of the fall of Dongola, he was the scholar at the Grand Mosque, Abdullah ibn Abi Sarah. So he had his.
He was in the Mosque of Dongola.
Mosque of Dongola, yeah. And his like you will find his. He taught Shaykh Muhammad Walad Isa Swar al-Dahab, the great grandfather of the president Swar al-Dahab. And
hold on a second. You're talking about, these are people who are like 16 generations back.
Yeah. Around 20 maybe.
20 generations back. So you're saying that the great Muslim leader Su'ad al-Dhahab rahimahullah, who passed away maybe 5-6 years ago, and he's somebody who deserves a conversation because he's literally one of the few people that you could name in modern history who did a government coup. As a person in the military. He was, I don't know what his rutba was. What was his? He was a high-level officer in the military. He did a military coup with the claim that he's going to hold it until the country is ready to be a republic. Like literally, if you watched the movie Gladiator, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's like the theme. You got a military guy who's going to take over just so that, Rome can be a republic again. This is Su'ad al-Dhahab. This is real. This is not a movie. And he did it in Sudan, and then he held power for a year. And then he let go of power, which was one of the hardest things that anybody could ever do. The temptation of power is like something that, because you see it, you see people falling with power at every level. And he actually fulfilled that promise. And the Sudanese people had a general election, and he did not position himself for election. He literally handed over the country back to the people. and he was, for all intents and purposes, a righteous man, and he passed away in Medina 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more than that. Allah knows best. But I remember seeing the videos of him, being carried to al-Baqi', and that's Husn al-Khatima. That's a person. So you're telling me that Suwar al-Dhahab, and his name means bracelets of gold.
Yeah.
And his personality and his character is like is that. And I believe he's one of the greatest leaders, modern leaders that we've had in the Muslim world, and that he's somebody that everybody should know. That's why I'm pausing. But you're telling me his grandfather from 20 years ago,
20 generations.
20 generations.
Yeah.
Was also Suwar al-Dhahab. That family runs that long.
Yes, yeah. And that's showing you that the family is continuing their heritage of teaching Quran for that long period. And for 20 generations, for around 6.
And so this gentleman, Ghulamullah.
Yes, his first student is Muhammad Walid Isa Suwar al-Dhahab.
Suwar al-Dhahab.
It's Isa Suwar al-Dhahab.
His first student is
Isa Suwar al-Dhahab.
Isa Suwar al-Dhahab.
Yeah.
Now, Ghulamullah himself is the great ancestor of somebody else who is very special. Who is that?
It's Sheikh Sati.
Sheikh Sati.
Sati Majid, yeah.
Sati
Majid, yeah, of Dungula, yeah.
Sheikh Sati Majid of Dungula. So they stayed in Dungula for 20 generations.
20 generations, yeah. 20
nobody
after
moves,
moving.
Nobody goes anywhere.
Yeah. But Suwar al-Dhahab is considered from Al-Ubayd, by the way, because his family moved to Al-Ubayd. And by the way, Suwar al-Dhahab is also the great Suwar al-Dhahab is the grandfather of Babikir al-Nur who made the coup against Nimeri for the Communist Party. They are the same family. Okay. They are related to the same ground.
So these families run very, very deep.
And they are continuing their impact and influence on the people from that period. And
so I didn't grow up in Sudan. So I'll be honest, a lot of times I have no idea about families and things like that. But as somebody who's from Omdurman, you're from Omdurman, which is one of the 3 boroughs, I like to call it.
Yeah.
Like how New York has 5 boroughs. Sudan, basically, Khartoum has 3 boroughs. It's got Khartoum, it's got Omdurman,
and Bahri. Yeah.
And Bahri. And people from Khartoum and people from Bahri and other places, a lot of times they've moved there. But Omdurman in particular, it's known for having just families that have been there for centuries, even very, very old. Is that like one of your families?
One of my family are in Omdurman, even like before we have one of our grandfathers. He was there since the Turkish government when they were ruling Sudan before al-Mahdiya. He was living in Omdurman, and he was doing constructing some boats. His partner is the father of Imam al-Mahdi. So
Imam al-Mahdi in the 1800s, the late 1800s, he's a legendary figure in Sudan as well. Obviously, he led the revolt against the British.
Yeah, against the British, yeah.
Okay.
And my grandfather at that time, one of my ancestors, he was the partner of his father, Abdullah ibn Fahal, and he moved with him to Al-Gadarif also, and also he moved with him to Rufa'a, where they were constructing boats and selling some wood at that time. So my family, we have roots who are there for a long time.
I guess my question was basically like, in Sudan, do you always feel like within a 10-minute conversation you can navigate where this person is from, what family they're from?
Yeah, that's very easy in Sudan.
It's very easy.
It's very easy because people are identifying themselves by their area, their origin, their families, their tribes, and also their the most known figures in their family. So it's a way of identification.
Quick identification. I've watched my parents do it my whole life, but it was just always amazing. Like, they're so and so, and then immediately, who do you? I know so and so. We went to school together, and it's just quick.
Either you know him, or you know his father, or you know his uncle, or you have been to his neighborhood and you know their neighbor. So
and this is the entire country.
The entire country, yeah.
Yeah, this is the entire country. It's incredible.
Yeah, the map of the country is in the head of everyone in Sudan. People are knowing all the tribes. People are knowing all of the cities. People have been to all of these cities, all of these areas.
For me, it's a great example of the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, جَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. So when you see that a person is from this tribe, and you just immediately can say, I know so and so from that tribe. Do you know them? They're like, oh, that's my uncle. I know so and so from this tribe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my this is
But also people are not only from one tribe. People are from mixed from several tribes. You will find the person, his grandfathers are from Jalin, or are from Dongola, or are from Mahas. So people are also mixed. This is making it easier for people to identify others and to know how to link them. And also it's a way, I think, to save, because Sudan is a very big country, and this identification will make it safe in the commercial trade, and also in relationship between people. When you can identify the person, you can have deals with him, and you can even if things fall,
those are how we have credit scores.
Yeah, you know how to get him back, and you can go back to his village and get your
rights from them.
Your rights from them. Yeah.
So I want to look at Sudan's contribution to modernity now. When we're looking at we said Sheikh Sati is the 20th, let's just say, grandson of Ghulamullah.
Ghulamullah ibn Aid, yeah.
And Sheikh Sati is a very, very, very deserving figure to be known, even though he's a pioneer here in the United States, and most people don't actually know him. So I want us to actually pick up the slide here of Sheikh Sati. He was called Shaykh al-Islam of America, and the first Shaykh of Islam of America.
Yeah.
He is from Dongola, as we described.
What we know about him is that he was reading an article in the newspaper about Islam in the US, and he found them.
This is the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Early 1900s. He found that someone was giving false information about Islam, and in New York, and he found that no one could respond to this guy. And the people from Dongola are in Sudan. They are living by the Nile, and they are sailors. And he knew some people from Dongola at that time who were living in the US. So he decided to move to the US because he was his message was, I need to contribute to this, and I need to give people the right answers about Islam. He arrived in New York, and he started one of the mosques in the central mosque in New York at that time. And he had several visits, I think, to Michigan and other areas. And he was resident of the US for like more than 20 years at that time. And he came back to Sudan. He first came back to Egypt because he wanted to issue a letter from Al-Azhar for one of the guys here was announcing that he's a prophet or something like that. So he wanted the Azhar to write this message that he's not a prophet, but he spent more than the time he.
I wonder if that was Elijah Muhammad.
No, before that.
W.D. Fard. I think I know who you're talking about.
I think in North Carolina, something like that. It was a small group.
Yeah, I'm forgetting his name. Okay.
So he spent in Egypt longer than he should be, and he was not able to come back to the US because of some of valid documentation issues. And he tried to renew it, but he couldn't do it. So he went back to Sudan, and he stayed in Dongola at his home. But when he came back to Sudan, he did not stop to contribute to the
cause of American Islam,
and also what he saw in the US. So he started writing about the black people rights in the US,
civil rights
and
here, yeah,
what they are suffering, and describing it from a person who lived in the US for more than 20 years. And these articles in Arabic language were published in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Egypt, and also in Sudan for I think 3 decades he was writing about it. I hope we will have an opportunity to collect all of this.
Yeah, I would love to read them. Actually, I'd love to be able to see them.
And that also gave the Sudanese people especially the Sudanese people, because the U.S. is far, and people some of the articles and also meetings with him were to record what he saw in the U.S. and to describe it to the people. And he was, and also especially after the Second War, people wanted to know more about the U.S. So he was providing them with lots of information at that time. Yeah. So it's I think it's valuable assets for Sudanese to have these records. And also one of the things that when he paved the way for Malcolm X when he visited Sudan, and also when he had the connections or the interlinks with the Sudanese people, they knew from the articles of Magid, Sati Magid, that what's happening for the black people and what they are suffering and their rights, and that's a catastrophic situation they are living in at that period. So they had background of what's happening, and when they met Malcolm X in the late 50s and start of 60s, 600s, they also had some influence with him.
Okay.
This is Sheikh Sorkati. Yeah, Sheikh Sorkati is. I will first mention that Sorkati means the man who have lots of books. Like he's and this is not his name.
In what language?
In Arabic. So he's
Sorkati?
Sorkati, yeah. Sorkati is like the man who have like a very big library in his home. So this Sorkati is his fourth grandfather. And Sheikh Sorkati, he fled Sudan when we had the Imam al-Mahdi Thawra, the revolution at that period. So he said, I'm not agreeing with this. And he
wasn't agreeing with fighting against the British?
With against the Turks at that period.
Against the
Turks, because the Mahdis were fighting the Turks. Okay. And also they were having their own claims that he's Imam Mahdi and this stuff. He was not agreeing with that.
So that's a very interesting discussion about the Mahdi himself, because he claimed to be the Mahdi. He claimed to be the Mahdi, who basically is a sign of the Day of Judgment. And he did it, and because he did it, he was able to galvanize an incredible amount of support, obviously, in people who believed in him. And so people who are pure, if you're looking at it from a pure theological lens, obviously he wasn't the Mahdi. He's not the Mahdi, and his claim to be the Mahdi is a false claim. At the same time, you'll find that Sudanese people will always look at that and will give him a lot of grace. Because what he was able to do, which is to galvanize the country and to expel the British. And, to add to that is that Allah took his soul away 6 months after he succeeded. And that's also something that really helps a personality, because you don't actually live to see the corruption that power usually brings. That he fulfilled his mission, and then Allah took his soul again.
But also just to not all of the Sudanese people, they were with him as a Mahdi. They were with him as fighter again for their rights.
Political leader.
As a political leader, and also because they were suffering from the Turks as well.
Of course.
And the Turks were like after 60 years of ruling Sudan, what happened in Sudan is worse than what happened in Armenia, and worse than what happened in all of other countries. And
Sheikh,
the Turks are not...
Hold on a second. How is it worse than what happened to the Armenian genocide?
We lost 2 million people.
In Sudan?
Yes. We lost 2 million people. In 1925...
They were killed by the Turks.
They were killed by the Turks. In 1825, they made a massacre because the Sudanese were fighting. Not all of the Sudanese, they surrendered to them. They were fighting, and they killed the son of Ismail, the son of Muhammad Ali Pasha. So a revenge for that, Muhammad Diftirdar, his the one who's married to his daughter, of the daughter Muhammad Ali Pasha, he walked all the way from Al-Lubayt till he reached Shendi, and he was just killing people. At least they killed, at that year, they killed 50,000 people. Not just that, they decided to take people from this area to send them to Egypt to kill them there, and they took like 20,000 people. Even people who were not even fighting them, they just killed them. So it was a very big massacre at that time, and that's not the only thing, because they were searching for people from the Turks. The Turks, they wanted army with them, and they wanted slaves, so they just started hunting people, and that's one of the worst crimes happened in Sudan.
It's not talked about at all.
And I'm telling you, several tribes
What is
vanished.
it called?
They are in Sudan. We are calling it Al-Hukm al-Sunai, which is ruled by two countries, Egypt and Turkey. But when you ask the Turks, they are saying these are the crimes of the Egyptian.
Okay.
When you ask the Egyptians, they are telling you.
No, but that actual genocidal period, what was it? Do you know what it was called? Did they have a name for it? That's probably a part of the reason why, if you don't even have a term for it.
It's the period of when they were ruling Sudan was this 60 years. Okay. They were just committing crimes,
left, right,
killing people, and they were just sending their troops to catch people and kill them, and even like in some areas they just decided this line, whoever lived beyond this line is we can catch him as a slave. They just decided that they draw a line on the map, and they said the people who are living beyond this area are not Muslims and are not, we can just capture them
whether they're Muslim or not.
And I'm telling you, at that line, beyond that line, Sinnar, the famous city, the capital of Sudan at that time, Sinnar city vanished. No one knows where is the city of Sinnar. Like, it's historically. They know the area. They know it's in this side. It's in this area between this city and this city. But where it is?
What do you mean? They destroyed all the buildings?
All the buildings.
All the houses?
The capital of Sudan at that time, which was visited by people from the Hajj, the people who are coming to Hajj from Fulani, from Mali, from even
from Timbuktu, from not
people coming from Europe to visit Sinnar, to just draw and write about it. At that time, the city vanished, and no one knows. It was the biggest market for cotton at that period. The biggest market for ivory in Africa at that period. The city, it's gone. Of the interest of what happened. Muhammad Ali Pasha is an Albanian man, but what he did it on the name, under the ruling of the Turks. Yes, he fought the Turks afterwards, and he even reached like Konya. But for us as Sudanese, what he did in Sudan is a crime, and it was done in the name of Turkey.
What's the story of one of his sons being burned?
Yeah, this is Ismail Pasha.
Ismail Pasha. So his son, like he was basically put into a house, and it was set on fire.
Yeah, he had some issues, and he was.
And so part of it was vengeance, right?
Yeah, he was also trying to insult some of the leaders, and they just decided that they will kill him
and set him on fire.
And then they will take the revenge for it.
So who's Sheikh Sorkati?
Sheikh Sorkati, as I mentioned, he fled Sudan to move to study in Mecca at that period. He was lucky to reach in the 1840s, in the 1880s, because in the 1890s they had situation similar to COVID, and Hajj was postponed for like 10 years. So he reached Mecca and Medina, and he studied there. And then when they wanted to send someone to Indonesia, he volunteered, and he went to Indonesia, and he started one of the biggest groups there for Muslim studies and scholars, teaching scholars and making them. It's like one of the first school in in Indonesia.
So these are basically Sudanese contributions in the Muslim world.
And
yes.
I will let me.
Who's
This is Imam Mahdi. This is one of his picture. But Imam Mahdi, when he fought the Turks, and he managed to kick them out of Sudan, he had influence on.
How come you don't say the British? You say the Turks.
The Turks, yeah. It was not the British. The British came afterward. The British.
But he kicked them out too.
He did not kick them. British.
Qurdun Basha. I mean, that was Imam al-Mahdi who kicked them
but
out.
Qurdun Basha was assigned by Turks. He was a British.
He wasn't acting on behalf of the British.
Yeah. He was assigned by Turks. The Turks were assigning Qurdun Basha, Salatin Basha, several names. They were assigned by Turks. It was not assigned by British. And they had an agreement between Egypt and or Turkey at that time and UK. They were trying to why they assigned the Qurdun Basha? They were trying to limit exportation of slaves from the red, because they stopped the movement of slave from West Africa and the trade of slave from West Africa. They had this area which is in the port of Sudan and Eritrea, which were still sending some slaves to Arabian countries and also to Asia. So they wanted to stop it. They had this agreement, and they assigned Qurdun Basha to stop this. So he was assigned by Turks. He was not assigned by the British. Yeah. So when Imam Mahdi had his revolution, two revolutions happened in the area surrounding us. One of them is he's naming himself Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Hassan, who is in Somalia, and he had his revolution, and he continued fighting for like 40 years. And also he had the second one. So this is a picture. The man on the camel is Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Hassan, and the second picture, this is Rabih Fadlallah. We call him Rabih al-Zubair. Rabih al-Zubair was from north of Sudan, Jaili area, and he went to fight against the French and in Chad, and he's a national hero in Chad, in Cameroon, and in north of Nigeria. His statues and some of his history is in Maiduguri area, and Al-Mahdi spread the revolution and anti-colonial movement in Africa, not by sending people or troops from him, but his influence exceeded Sudan. Yeah. And also not just that, by the way. In Senegal, the Ahmed Mbamba is a famous leader of Senegal. He was detained in Sudan because when we had the Mahdi's revolution, the country was partially closed, and he was going to Hajj through Sudan. So he stopped in Sudan and he studied fiqh, and he watched what's happening in Sudan, and he saw the Mahdi period from Sudan, not from he was living in Sudan at that time. So he started his movement not by doing what or like repeating what happened in Sudan, taking the same, collecting the dervish and fighting. No, he started a peaceful movement, which is I would like to say that he benefited from seeing the bad examples, and he did the right things. And also, by the way, in Sudan during Al-Mahdiya, Umar al-Mukhtar of Libya was living in Sudan when Al-Mahdiya started, and he was the representative of As-Sanusiya. Sanusiya or Tariqa Sanusiya, and also not just Tariqa, because they had their books for Tawheed. I think they had 3 books, 3 levels of Tawheed, which were Ash'ari Mazhab, but they are famous for these books are famous where like people were studying it all over Sudan. So the people from Libya who came, they were teaching also Tawheed. By the way, just to mention here, Khartoum established by a sheikh called Arbab al-Aqaid. Arbab al-Aqaid. Arbab al-Aqaid also was teaching Tawheed. So Khartoum is the only city in the world which was established by a mosque teaching Tawheed. He came to this, it was a forest. He came, he established his mosque for the first time, and he had, so Khartoum is like a Tawheed based city.
Allah bless.
So Omar al-Mukhtar, as I mentioned, he was in Sudan, and also when he fought the Italians, he had people fighting with him were from Sudan, and some of them were also from Syria now. And I will recall Ukair al-Damar said one of his poets. He said one of his poems. He said نيران الترك مثل الجبال سبتولا اتقسموا لناس عرضوا لناس سبتولا ناس ربطوا ناس عرضوا. So he literally said people like did the binding on their legs to not be able to run away. And this is what it's famously in the movie of Risala, when the people are like grabbing the ropes for their legs to be in the area. So that was also one of the things that which is the way the Sudanese people fight.
So I want to quickly Al-Fatih. I want to just share two more, inshallah, Al-Fatih and then Malik, of course.
Yeah, okay. So Al-Fatih al-Hasanain, he's as I mentioned to you that there is Al-Ansari who's living in an area of Sinnar. Al-Fatih al-Hasanain, he's one of his descendants and also one of the families, one of the Sharif families in Sinnar area. Sinnar area is very rich and very green and very beautiful area. So they were living there. He moved to Bosnia to study medicine at that time. It was part of Russia at that time, and it was ruled by communist governments, and they had several people were suffering a lot. They were not allowing Muslims to practice. So when he arrived, he had connection with some people at that time, and they asked him if he can recite Quran or he can assist them in teaching them Quran. So he entered with them. Even inside, they were studying Quran inside caves, inside mountains, and he was joining them inside these caves and teaching them Quran. Yeah. And this movement, which people studying Quran, they started bringing other people to study Quran and study other books with him. And one of them is Ali Izzat Bikovich, the great leader of Bosnia, rahimahullah. And they had like 1 week, they were assigning him to they had like several deals between parties. So they needed someone neutral to run the country of Bosnia. So they assigned Ali Al-Fatih al-Hasanain to be this ruler for Bosnia for this 1 week. And also one of his students is Rajab.
So he was the ruler of Bosnia for a week.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. One
of his students is Rajab Tayyip Erdogan also, because he was visiting, I think, in one of his articles, he mentioned that he first landed in Turkey, in Istanbul in 1965. So since then, he was having influence, and he had an organization which served Muslim in 40 different countries. So this is Al-Fatih al-Hasanain. It's an example of the Sudanese character of being helpful to others and taking risks also, and not and responding to.
There's two. Beyond the personalities, there's actually two institutions that I'd like for us to shed light on as well. And that is, and I do want to speak about Professor Malik first, but you know about the legacy of Al-Azhar, for example.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's important that we appreciate Jamiat Afriqiya Al-Alamiyya, African
Islamic University.
No, International University, African International University. And number two is Omdurman Islamic University. Those two, because of what they do of serving the African population as well.
Yeah.
And being that bridge that we just talked about between Africa and the, Middle East.
Yeah. So I have some slides I will show you for. This is an example of Sheikh Bashir. Sheikh Bashir, he was assigned to teach fiqh in Kano for lawyers.
Kano State in Nigeria.
And
where's the Arabic school that I heard about?
This is his school.
This is his school in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yeah. Okay. And this is also picture of Ahmed Badri. He just recently, 5 years ago, he became member of British Empire. He was like honored by this recently, and he had a school in UK teaching Arabic for people. He started from like scratch at his home, and he's married to the daughter of Sheikh Bashir Rayah, by the way.
MashaAllah.
Also, this is an example of how Sudanese people have spread. Although we had fight and we had
a war,
the longest
civil war in modernity
with
South
Sudan, but the people of South Sudan are Muslim because war. It's happening because of politicians, but the relationship between the Sudanese people and the South Sudanese people is not affected by that. Even through war, people were hosting people from South Sudan, were allowing them to live and not having any.
And now in South Sudan, they're hosting the Northerners.
The Northerners, and also they are supporting the Northerners, and they are giving them back part of what they received, and also they are dealing with them as one country. So Islam is also the influence of Islam in South Sudan is from the Sudanese people. And by the way, one of the South Sudanese leaders during Al-Mahdi era, he fought with Al-Mahdi. So, and not one, but
fought alongside him.
Alongside with him. So, this is.
Oh, that's my guy right here. Right here. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Professor Abdullah
Tayyib. Yeah.
Professor Abdullah Tayyib is one of, rahimahullah ta'ala, is one of the great scholars of the Arabic language in the world when he passed away. But unfortunately, one of the problems and one of the reasons I think why people don't know a lot more about Sudan and Sudanese scholarship is just because of our own negligence with regards to preservation and promotion of our scholarship.
Yeah, and also it's important to mention that he had a program to do tafsir.
He did tafsir of the entire Quran in the Sudanese dialect,
and it was spread all over the African countries, and mentioned several even in Tashad and several countries. They are still publishing it. So Omdurman Islamic University.
Yes.
Omdurman Islamic University started as when they had Gordon College in Khartoum by the British. As the Sudanese people were having some issues with it. Not all of them were joining Gordon University.
That would become Khartoum University.
Which became Khartoum University. And some of them were even traveling to Al-Azhar to reach to study in Egypt. So to make it easier for them, they started an institute in Omdurman. They called it Omdurman Islamic Institute, which became Omdurman, this is in 1932, which became Omdurman Islamic University in the start of 60s. This university was, when they formed it, they just gathered as Islamic Center. They gathered the sheikhs of Sudan at that time to form it, and they had because in Sudan they had the knowledge at that time, and they had also the scholars who were even teaching in Medina and Mecca at that time, and they had this, and also it's, I think, several Islamic centers, even in Eritrea and Ethiopia, they started from the people who graduated from.
I mean, all Islamic, over the world, their presence is
from. We have also.
Let's go to the Afriqa
al-Alamiya. African.
Yeah, because this one, until today, I meet a lot of mashayikh here in the United States who are from West Africa.
Yeah.
Who tell me that they graduated from the International University of Africa. And this, even though Sudan was never really a rich country, so to speak, they would give scholarships to African students.
Yeah, and also, by the way, it's lots of Africans were studying in Sudanese khalwas. and we're studying in not even khalwas for Quran, khalwas for fiqh. So when you study about khalwas, you will find that they have like 1,000 students from several countries. They will name the countries. Even like Sheikh Dumfasi, who was like one of the Imam of Haram at his time. He studied in Sudan. He's from Chad, basically, and he had one of the explanation for Tajweed. He wrote about Tajweed, and he was like the biggest scholar at his time. So you will find lots of people who studied in Sudan, even from Ethiopia, from Eritrea, from several countries who came to Sudan.
And this is one of the the earliest videos that came out of the war in 2023 rather, was students from this university who were just trying to get home after the war started, because they were from Nigeria or they were
Somalia,
from West Africa, anywhere.
Yeah.
And they were trying to figure out.
And this university replaced or like modernized this outreach, the Sudanese outreach to the African countries by having this. And also, by the way, to give credit to the other people, lots of people came to Sudan to teach in Sudan. We're from Morocco, we're from Shanagit. The
Mauritanians.
The Mauritanians, they arrived in Sudan just because they knew that this is an area, a hub to meet the people who are from these countries. And also the way the khalwas, it's important to mention.
It wasn't just for Islamic studies, this university.
For
it
everything.
Was for everything. I know people who studied medicine there, studied all sorts of...
And also the khalwas, and it's the khalwas are funded by the people.
The Quran schools,
the surrounding people are the one who are cooking for the khalwas, who are the one who are bringing food to the students. So the khalwa is not only the effort of the sheikh himself. It's the effort of the community surrounding him. So that way, it's showing that the people of Sudan are hosting people from other countries, not by themselves, but from other.
Sheikh, I mean, we could talk about this all day, but we got to wrap up, and I want us to go to Professor Malik, inshallah. We can't skip him. Professor Malik is...
this is very important, I think. In Ethiopia, Ethiopians suffered from a king called Johannes, who was not allowing Muslims to practice.
Okay. We might shut down, Sheikh. We need to just wrap it up.
Where is he? Sorry.
No problem. If you don't have him, we can just talk about him quickly. Sheikh Malik, Professor Malik Badri. He was basically a professor of psychology. And he is an individual who... Sheikh, we can just talk about him.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, there's him.
Professor Malik Badri, yes.
Malik Badri studied psychology. He was the first guy who studied psychology. And he studied... Quran and fiqh, and also was active in the Islamic societies in Khartoum and Omdurman. And he was in Beirut, where he followed the legacy of his brothers, studying in the American University in Beirut, and he studied psychology there. And
he's a major figure in Islamic psychology.
Yes,
like he is a reference for almost everyone.
He's a godfather for that, I think, for it. And he wrote about it, and he did not only have that impact. He was also supporting other Muslims from other countries, like the tribe of Malcolm X, which ended in Beirut, and he hosted him in Beirut. And when from the host, when Malcolm X reached Beirut, and he had they made a lecture with him, with Malik Badri at that time, and from that he decided to come to Sudan, and he visited Sudan, and he stayed at his home, and Malcolm X named himself Malik on Al-Hajj Malik Shahbaz. This is his Arabic name. Malik is taken from Malik Badri. So he named himself upon him. And also there is Abdulaziz Malik. Also he was, I think, an Oxford graduate. So Sheikh Prof Zarruq, this is one of the also famous writers about not only fiqh. He write about adab,
and then we have Shaykh Ja'far Shaykh Idris rahimahullah, who passed away recently. But Shaykh, today we're going to have to call this an evening, and we want to continue more, inshallah ta'ala, about Sudan. And if anybody has any questions, you can please do share them in the comments, and inshallah we'll have our depth with our beloved brother and teacher Omer, inshallah ta'ala, Abu Muhammad, in the future, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh.
Thank you, Shaykh Ammar. Thank you for having me. I hope the message
I definitely learned a lot today. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you.
We'll see you everyone, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you.
See you again very, very soon. Barakallah
Thank
feekum.
you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.